Hello everyone and welcome to the latest edition of Artmaster Vision. Today I'm going to be painting this rather lovely black scorpion pirate. His name on the website is Black Jack Davy, I think. He's got a lovely Capritin hook style hook for a hand and a peg leg, so he's obviously been through the battles, but he's tough as old boots, so he's still fighting. We're going to start off with undercoating the feather, because that's going to need to be washed before we can do anything else with it, and I want to give it time to dry. So I'm going to take this Andrea colour from the Andrea White set. This is number 6, the half moon shape. And I'm just going to add a little bit of water to the paint because it's quite thick. You have to remember to water it down, and I'm going to paint it on solid over the entire feather. There we go. Now we're going to move on to the beard. We're going to give this a dry brush. So I'm going to take this Wargamer small dry brush from Army Painter. It's got a nice chiseled flat end. Really nice for dry brushing small areas such as this. And we're going to take Vallejo dark grey. I'm going to squeeze a smidgen of this out. Get the excess paint off the brush and then just drag it in one direction over the entire beard, and this will pick out all the raised areas to highlight them. Also do the same with the hair on the back here. Now there's no shame in dry brushing hair. In fact, it's probably one of the most effective ways to do hair. It might be quick and dirty, but it definitely gives the right effect. And you can still choose to lighten certain areas of the hair as well, which is what we're going to do. We're going to now use a slightly lighter grey. We're going to switch to London grey now. Here we go. This is Vallejo model colour London grey. Now we're going to do exactly the same again, but this time we're just going to put it on slightly lighter, and it's going to act as a highlight. We want the hair to be quite dark because he's going to have like a black beard really. We don't want it to look too grey, but at the same time we're going to pick out the lightest areas just to give it some extra depth. So I'm actually going to take some white now. Now this is Vallejo off-white, but any kind of white will do, or even ivory. But this time we're just going to really get most of the paint off until there's virtually none left on there, and then just pick out the bits that we want light. So the bottom of the beard here, the bottom area of the moustache, around the back just a bit in the middle where the light's coming off, and maybe a little bit on his ponytail as well. And that's pretty much it for the hair. So that was very quick, very easy, got the job done. So now we're going to move on and undercoat the flesh. For this we're going to take normal Panzeracey's Shadows flesh, undercoat the hand. Not worrying about being neat too much, as there's nothing to accidentally get paint on that shouldn't have paint on it. Be a little bit neater around the beard there, because we obviously don't want to get any paint on that. Okay, so that'll do for the flesh. Now I want to move on to the jacket. I'm going to give him a nice dark royal blue. This is dark Prussian blue. We're going to add some black into this. We want it to be quite a dark colour. So you may think this is quite dark as it is, but it's not quite dark enough. You could probably just highlight straight over black with this, but we just want to take the extra time to darken it down and make it a nice blue-black undercoat. So we squeeze plenty of black in there with that. We're going to put some water in it and give it a good stir with a chunky brush or an old brush, doesn't really matter. As you can see, it is practically black, but there's definitely a blue hint to that. So a nice navy blue really. I'm actually going to take this brush that I've just used to mix and go over most of the area and undercoat it, as it's just a large expanse of cloth, and a smaller brush would just take ages to undercoat, so this is just going to get the job done quicker. We'll take our time around the areas such as the hair where we don't want to get the blue on. You could always switch to a smaller brush if you're a little bit worried about getting the colour on those areas. This particular brush is a Wargamer Regiment brush from Army Painter. It's a little bit old and tired, but gets the job done for this. Okay, so that's that undercoated. Now I want him to have some black trousers, but I don't want it to be a traditional grey black. I want it to be more of a charcoal black. So I'm going to highlight straight over the black base coat with German tank crew black. This is Panzer Aces. A little bit of advice for when highlighting straight over the primer is make sure that before you do it you've gone over the figure with some black paint, making sure there's no silver showing through at all, because if you don't do that and you highlight over the black, then you'll probably see a tint of silver here and there showing through in the creases. You really don't want that. Also, you'll probably find that these spray primers aren't quite as dark as actual black paint once you've gone over it. Okay, so that's that. Now I'm gonna give him a sort of a dirty looking shirt there, so I'm going to take some English uniform and just stick that in there. Again, not worrying about being neat because there's nothing around the shirt that has already got paint on it apart from the beard. Okay, now we'll undercoat the wood on the gun and the peg leg, and I'm going to take trusty old German camo black brown. Pretty much all the colours I'm using will be Vallejo's unless I state otherwise. Okay, that'll do for that. I'll actually paint the handle with the dagger in this colour as well, probably. Now we're going to take some silver paint. This is going to be bolt gun metal from Games Workshop. I've only ever actually painted one of these Black Scorpion pirates, which I painted for the Salute painting competition a few years back. It's part of a vignette, but they're very nice. I've seen plenty of them. I've got some more to do as well, so in fact actually I probably painted 2 pirates before, but yeah, they're very nice figures. Okay, now I've just got to do his sock. I think we'll give him kind of a dark brown sock, so we'll go back and use some of the brown that we squeezed out before for the wood, and we'll highlight them in separate colours. So now, whilst the blue's just finishing up drying, we'll highlight the flesh. Now we're going to take some flesh base, Panzer Aces. This will be our first highlight. Okay, so now the blue's about dry, we're going to take some dark Prussian blue I'm going to do a quick test to see whether or not it's light enough to show up. Okay, that looks pretty good, so we're going to just go ahead and highlight it. It probably will dry darker, so I'd advise, if you had time or something to dry the figure off, wait for the paint to dry before you go and highlight the whole thing, because it might turn out that it isn't actually having enough contrast to it, so you might have highlighted the whole thing for nothing. But luckily I wanted the blue to be quite subtle on this, so if it is too dark then it's fine, because we're just going to give it a few more layers anyway. Okay, so now that that's done, I'll do second highlight on the trousers. For this I'm going to take highlight German black from Pan's Races. Okay, so that'll do for that. Now we're going to take some Devlin Mud Wash. This is a Games Workshop wash, and we're going to wash over the shirt to darken it down a bit and also give it a nice murky, dirty look to it. Now I'm going to highlight the wood. I'm going to take some Vallejo flat brown. And now we're going to highlight the sock, and we're going to use Splinter Blotches 2 for this. Now we're going to do the second highlight on the flesh, and we're going to use Vallejo Flat Flesh. The good thing about painting a figure like this is that it's surprisingly simple, even though it's a nice detailed figure and a nice subject to work with. It's deceptively simple to paint. As you can see so far, it's not taking too long. Okay, so now we're going to do the second stage to the feather, and we're going to take some Bada Black. This is a black wash from Games Workshop. And we're going to wash over the feather. This is going to give it some depth and some shading. At the same time, I'm going to wash over this silver. Okay, so that'll do for that. Now I'm going to take some Prussian blue and mix it in about 50-50 with the dark Prussian blue. This will be our second highlight. would say that these blues do dry darker. It's definitely a good point. We're going to add maybe one or two more highlights to the jacket, but we're just going to put it on quite sparingly, so when this is dried fully you'll see what I mean with that. So we're just gonna highlight the black leather whilst we're waiting for that, and we're going to use Vallejo black grey. I've never actually used anything to enlarge the figures whilst painting before. Never really had the need to use a magnifying glass, but I do have one. Someone gave me one for Christmas with some clamps on, so I might get around to testing that out and giving my verdict on a future vision. I think it would benefit for areas of extremely fine detail, so maybe an intricate flag or some intricate freehand work. I think it'd probably definitely come in handy for something like that. But currently I don't feel that I have a need to use one on regular painting. This blue highlight is actually just Prussian blue on its own. So what we did is we squeezed out some dark Prussian blue and added black for the undercoat. Then we used dark Prussian blue on its own. Then we mixed 50-50 dark Prussian blue with Prussian blue for the second highlight, and this third highlight was Prussian blue on its own. Seems laborious and does take time to do, but it gives a more subtle highlight, so you can get a smoother transition, which I do think actually suits this particular model. A lot of the Black Scorpion figures suit that style, as you can probably see from their website. Quickly, I'm just going to add an extra highlight to the socks. I'm going to use Vallejo Beige Brown for that. Now for the rest of the feather, I'm going to take Andrea Colour 3 Second Light. This is again from the white set. And again, we're going to take our dry brushing brush here, and we're just going to brush over it in one single direction from top to bottom, quite lightly. Someone's just made a good point about using a magnifying glass. Is you've got to remember that not only does it magnify the figure, it magnifies the size of the brush. So obviously, if you're going to be doing something that involves intricate work, you can always switch to a smaller brush, perhaps a 10-0, or perhaps a brush that you've been using for a while that's lost some of its hairs. But you're gonna still have to keep a steady hand, so if you shake slightly when you paint, then it's gonna look like you're shaking even more when it's blown up. So moving on to the shirt again, I'm gonna take the colour I used to undercoat it because it's darker now. That was English Uniform. And I'm going to give it a little highlight with English Uniform. It's basically a way of cheating, is to paint the area in the mid colour that you want, and then wash it, and then that will create the shadows for you, and then you just highlight the lighter areas. It's good for people that are practicing. But it's also quite effective for certain figures as well. So now I want to do the skull and crossbones on the hat, and I'm going to take some US Field Drab for that as the base coat. In fact, we use a little bit of this on the shirt as well for an extra highlight. Now we want to do some more highlight to the black leather, so we're going to take dark grey and we're going to add a tiny bit of London grey into that to lighten it up. I'm going to take a little bit more bolt gun metal now, and I'm going to give him some silver buttons on the blue, and also he's got a little silver earring there. I know that he's like a quite evil looking guy, he's kind of like a captain of a pirate ship, so I wouldn't really, he's called Blackjack Davy, so I'm not going to give him any gold. The picture on the website, I think he's got gold on him, but I just don't think it suits him. I think silver's a much more natural look for an evil character like this. Okay, so now I'm going to take some highlight British tank crew. This is going to be the first highlight on the bone on the hat. See, the lights just changed there. That's better. Apologise for the lighting difficulties there. So yeah, once again, this is highlight British tank crew. And I'm going to take some Pal sand, and this will be the second highlight. Finally, I'm going to take some white and dry brush the feather a second time. And pop the eyes in. Okay, and I think that will about do it. One Black Scorpion, Blackjack Davy, pirate, peg leg and all. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, whether they're watching the live version or the recorded version. Apologise for the slight lighting difficulties during the vision, but we got over that. Please take a look at our website. Please visit the Steve Dean forum. Check out the blog and our YouTube channel, both available from our website. And I look forward to next week's vision. Thanks again and good night.